This video is dedicated to all the people who think that a Quest is just for Christmas and not for life. Those who got a shiny new Quest 2 and absolutely loved it for a week. And now it's nestled safely in the corner of a room. You're not quite sure which room or even which corner, but it's there. In this video, we'll talk about why you got bored and what games you should really be playing to get unbored, including a survival game that has the potential to be VR's answer to DayZ. Welcome back to the VRCauldron. If you're watching this and you are one of the people who have given up on VR, then do let us know in the comments why you think you might have gotten bored and what you might try to reinvigorate your love of VR. Also, check out the pinned comment to see if you won the Kiwi Design dock for Quest 2 and reply so we can get it for you. So, there are many reasons why you could have given up on VR. Maybe you just couldn't see properly. Maybe you kept getting motion sickness. Maybe you realised you didn't have space for it. I've done videos on these things already, so check out the channel and I'll link a few in the description below. But more on blurry VR in this video later on. In this video, we're really focusing on those people who could use VR fine, but simply got bored. One of the big criticisms I hear levelled at VR, and more specifically standalone VR like the Quest 2 or the Pico, is that there just aren't enough big games that can keep you hooked for a long time. I hear you, there definitely are a lot of experiences that at first can seem amazing. Who doesn't want to watch their friend face plant into the floor because they really did think they were on a plank? Who doesn't want to shove their friends into a haunted mansion and watch as they absolutely poo themselves? Oh, God, Jesus Christ! These experiences are great fun for all the family, but once the novelty is worn off, as well as the novelty of VR itself, suddenly you're less likely to take the time to put on the headset and you'd rather have a blast on Warzone whilst chilling on the couch. I get it. So the question is, which games do you really need to be playing? Which games aren't simply experiences? Which games can you pretty much play forever? We're going to cover a wide range of game styles in this video, so hopefully there is something for everyone. But first, I'm going to start with fitness. A friend of mine who I mentioned in my Pico 4 review absolutely loves rhythm games. We rarely see him playing anything else. By rhythm games, I'm talking about things like Beat Saber, O-Shape, Synth Riders, Pistol Whip, Audio Trip, as well as many others. These are the kind of game that you can literally play forever, and many do. Why? Because as well as being fun, they're also an improvement game. As you play, you are literally training yourself to become a Jedi, a yoga master, a ninja, or an assassin, just to name a few. People play them and get so good that when they upload little clips of themselves on Insta-Talk, people actually gasp at the skill, the precision, and the downright absurdity of their speed and coordination. So if you like the idea of becoming a meta-human, see what I did there, then you should definitely check out some of those games. For me, one of the games I've been playing ever since I've had VR is Thrill of the Fight, the boxing game that doesn't have any gaming mechanics and totally relies on your ability to punch without getting tired. It's a valid form of exercise, just ask this guy, and not only is it good exercise, it's also a hell of a lot of fun. At one point, it literally was my only form of exercise, it's that good. But let's talk about your more traditional style of game now. One of the biggest game franchises is Call of Duty. Now, unfortunately, Call of Duty hasn't made its way to VR as of yet, but there are some brilliant VR shooters out there. And anyone who has played Modern Warfare or the Battlefield games know that you can pretty much play them forever, working towards those unlocks and, of course, getting better and better. Onward, Contractors and Pavlov are three fantastic shooters and are all available for the Quest 2 as well as PCVR. And if you haven't shot a gun in VR yet, you really need to. It just feels so natural, especially pistols. And if you want a great experience holding rifles, you can get gun stocks that add to the realism. It's just a step above sitting on the couch with a gamepad. You really do get totally immersed and start to believe you're there, except you know that you're totally safe at all times. If military isn't your thing, there are also quite a few sci-fi and hero shooters available now too. My favourite sci-fi arena shooter is Hyperdash, which is still the only game I've given 10 out of 10 to. I absolutely love it. By the way, if you would like to see more gaming content on the channel, then do let me know in the comments. And of course, another advantage VR shooters have over couch shooters is that you're standing up and you're being more active. It's actually good for you. Just make sure you've set an appropriate boundary. But if ground warfare all sounds a bit 1800s, then how about Warplanes World War I fighters? Basically, you do the same as those other three games, but in a plane. And if you haven't flown in VR, well, it's even more realistic than running around in VR, since you can sit down just like you would be if you were flying a plane. Getting to the air for the first time and looking up to see a plane flying over you is an experience to behold. Before we carry on, we did mention that one of the reasons that a lot of people quit VR is because for whatever reason VR is just a bit blurry for them, which ruins the experience. Check out my video on fixing blurry VR because there are a lot of reasons it could be like that. But a major one is if you're actually short-sighted. You'd think that since the screen is so close to you, it wouldn't matter that if you were short-sighted, but actually the lenses in the headset simulate how the eyes work in real life. So if you're short-sighted in real life, you're short-sighted in VR. Sounds like a less stressful version of Sword Art Online, but let me tell you about VR Wave, who have kindly sponsored this video. VR Wave make lens inserts for the Quest 2 and the Pico 3 and 4 as well as other headsets. They also do other accessories. Their lenses slot into the headset really easily using magnets and come with a really nice carry case so you can take them out and you can store them when you don't need them. They allow glasses wearers like me to see perfectly in VR without having to wear glasses, which can steam up and scratch the lovely lenses of the headset. And because they slot in with magnets, they can easily be removed if, for example, you have contacts in that day or if you want to share the headset with someone else. As well as their excellent lenses, they also sell facial interfaces to make your Quest 2 more comfortable. Personally, as a glasses wearer, I cannot do without lens inserts, and VR Waves are some of the best. If you wear glasses and ever wondered why VR is blurry for you, then it could be that you need these. Now, back to the video. Now, one of the best games you can get for Quest 2 is Echo VR, the futuristic team sports game where the aim is to throw a disc into the other team's goal. Just like football, but with your hands, so it's more like handball, but it's a disc. Just like the rhythm games we mentioned, it's a game where the skill ceiling is huge. It's extremely easy to get into, but you can spend forever trying to get better and better. It's 100% a game that you could spend playing forever in the same way that you don't play football or basketball for a bit and then just get bored and move on to something else. If you love it, you'll do it forever. And it's an esport, so if you get really good, you can actually join a real team and play real people, just like you would if you're playing football and basketball. It's the kind of game that will come with you as you change your headsets, and because it's free, it's got a really large community, but you can play with and against bots if you'd rather do that first. And if you manage to plug your Quest into a suitable PC, you can also get the other less spoken about half of Echo VR, that is Echo Combat, which is a futuristic arena shooter that I enjoyed just as much as I do Hyperdash. Another great multiplayer game that you can pretty much play forever is Dash Dash World, the Mario Kart style racing game for virtual reality. It really is a fantastic racing game with a great sense of speed, crazy tracks, and even crazier power-ups. If you want to be doing a loop-the-loop whilst you're racing in VR, this is one of the very few games that can actually deliver it. If you doubt that you could play this pretty much forever, well, maybe you wouldn't in the same way that you might play Echo VR forever, but think about this. How many people have still got their Nintendo Wii or Wii U just so they can have a blast on Mario Kart every now and again? Dash Dash has got that similar appeal, but with the unlocks and car upgrades, it really does have a long lifespan, just as a game you play normally. The last game I'm going to talk about is one of the few proper multiplayer survival games on standalone VR. Currently, it's available for PCVR through Steam and Pico 4, and it will be coming to the PSVR and Quest 2 this year. It has all the survival elements you'd want to see, like hunger, foraging, zombies, a crafting system, etc., all wrapped up in a nice little zombie apocalypse. From my first playthrough, I did enjoy it, and the music and setting is quite nice. The visuals are pretty basic on standalone, and I'll see if they manage to mix up the environments a little. At the moment, it's just desolate fields. But it does have potential to be the kind of game you can spend a lot of time in. But what it really needs is the Quest 2 release to happen as soon as possible, because the game hasn't been publicised much at all. So the multiplayer servers and its multiplayer that could really make this game take off are pretty much dead at the moment. So why am I including it here? Well, those of you who are familiar with Rust on the PC and of course DayZ, as I already mentioned, will know that survival games are the types of games that people will get lost in for hours, just wandering around, collecting things and bashing trees. Some people have been playing those games for years. They're pretty old games right now, but still people can't get enough. And Survival Nation, whilst not as in-depth as those games, with a good multiplayer implementation, it really could be the VR equivalent. Imagine a Rust in VR. People would just live in it. And bringing it back to the topic of the video, that is the exact reason why people are dumping their VR headsets, and also why the world hasn't gone all Ready Player One yet. We really need more games like that. So, if you made it this far, firstly, thank you very much, but now let us know in the comments either which game you've been playing pretty much non-stop, or can see yourself playing for a lot longer, Or if you actually did get bored of VR, what types of games were you playing and why do you think you got bored? Let us know. In a later video, I'll be talking about the game that, in my opinion, is the absolute best VR game, and also the one that you could spend pretty much a lifetime inside. So, if you're not subscribed and don't want to miss that, then make sure you do hit the button and ring the bell. It's absolutely free. Oh, and don't forget the thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Thanks again for watching, take care of yourselves, and I hope to see you next time. See ya!